Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the SweetpeaDiaries. I wanted to issue a quick disclaimer about this video. I am in no way, shape, or form introducing any new conspiracy theories or elaborating on any current ones that might be floating around on YouTube. I am simply giving the facts, presenting them as they are in police reports and the media. So with that being said, please sit back and enjoy the video, and also be kind and respectful to the family and the victims of this tragic situation. On the night of February 25th, 2024, 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson texted her family saying, "I've been kidnapped. Send help. Don't call." Moments later, she would be tortured, sodomized, shot in the back of the head, and left to die underneath of a mattress at an illegal dumping site in an area known to people in Birmingham, Alabama as Dead Man's Road. That night, the young mother went to a friend's house, thinking that she was going to go there, hang out with friends, but when she got there, Mahogany became the target of a brutal assault. The horrific events were allegedly recorded on video, which begins with the suspects, Sanaya McCall and Taja Lewis, beating up a naked Mahogany. McCall can then be heard saying, "Put her in the trunk." The assault then continues at McCall and Lewis's apartment, where all of the suspects recorded themselves attacking, slapping, and spitting on Mahogany while she was handcuffed and still naked. She was pistol whipped and forced to perform oral sex while a gun was pointed at the back of her head. One of the suspects can be heard on the video telling Mahogany that she was going to die. This video was later uploaded to social media, where it was shared by hundreds of people. How did this 24-year-old young woman, who was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend, meet this fate?
Now on the floor, the more information we learn about the disturbing kidnapping and murder of Mahogany Jackson, the harder it is and more awful it is to hear.
Some of those suspects accused in her killing making an appearance in court today. Bria Chapman joins us now live with the latest. And Bria, the details that you heard today in court are disturbing and heartbreaking.
Yeah, Morgan, that is right. This case is beyond disturbing, and it was an emotional day in court. Now, one of the saddest details I learned today is that Mahogany Jackson came to the first location thinking these people were her friends. Investigators say they then tortured her, and the things that were described are why Judge Keisha Davis says she denied all of these suspects a bond. Now, Birmingham Police Homicide Detective Mark Green says the first stop was the home of suspect Brandon Pope. Now, that's where Jackson was beaten outside while she was naked. Officers say some of the suspects beat her while others recorded the beatings. Now, Jackson was stomped and kicked, and then prosecutors say one of the suspects can be heard saying, "Put her in the trunk," and then she was dragged naked in the street. Now, Jackson was taken to a second location, and I want to warn you, this will be hard to hear. Prosecutors say Jackson was sexually assaulted at gunpoint. Officials say she was handcuffed, beaten, pistol whipped, and then spat on. Now, Jackson's family, including her mother, were present in court today, and as they read out the evidence, you could hear them getting very emotional. DA Danny Carr says, though, this will be a long road to get justice for Mahogany, and he also explains why only 5 out of the 8 suspects were present today for the Anayas Law hearing.
The individuals that are charged with capital murder, obviously, the law, the statute and the rules of criminal procedure says that their bond can be set at a no bond automatically. The individuals that are charged with felony murder, the statute requires a hearing. The next step, obviously, is there'll be further investigation with Birmingham Police Department.
Yeah, another sad thing we learned today was that the suspects wanted the password to Mahogany Jackson's phone. Officials say they even told her if she gave it to them, they would let her go, only to kill her anyway.
Mahogany Jackson was born in Birmingham, Alabama on April 29, 2003, to Father Moses Jackson Jr. and Mother Gail Maddock. Mahogany was educated in the Birmingham City School system and later graduated from Job Corps. Mahogany was part of a large family and had a total of 8 brothers and sisters. Her brothers were Antoine Maddox, Javante Beasley, and Leandre Maddox. And her sisters were Rasanjan Sanice Rudolph, Jasmine Maddox, Monica Jackson, and Jaslyn Maddox. Mahogany also had a sister that preceded her in death named Sequoia Jackson, but not much is known about the circumstances of her death. Mahogany was described as having a heart of gold. When she was younger, she had a friend that lived next door, and knowing that her friend was often hungry because her family did not have enough food in the house, Mahogany would sneak food from her own home to give to her friend. Mahogany's personality continued to shine through as she got older, being known by everyone as someone that would give you her last. Her friends and family describe her as being the life of the party, funny, and someone who just loved life. Now, as you can imagine, being a young mother in today's world can be hard for anybody, but it can be especially hard when you are a young Black woman trying to survive in urban environments. Many fall victim to drugs, prostitution, and various other crimes just trying to survive. And Mahogany, unfortunately, was no different, with one of her biggest strengths also being her biggest weakness, and that was loving people. And sometimes she loved the wrong people. As a young person growing up in Alabama, Mahogany had seen and been through a lot in life and had begun hanging around a group that was rumored to be involved in various forms of illegal activity. Mahogany was known to be tough, and even though she was small in size and stature, she was known to be able to handle her own. By the age of 20, Mahogany was already the mother to a 3-year-old little girl named Nadia. And after having a baby as a teenager, Mahogany decided that she was going to dedicate herself to being the best mother she could be, regardless of her circumstances. Now, having a little girl actually motivated Mahogany to become a cosmetologist because she loved styling her little girl's hair. Now, the group of people that Mahogany associated with were part of a gang called My Lord. This gang consisted of a group of girls and boys, and just like any other gang, they had their way of doing things. Being part of this gang, Mahogany and the other girls would meet men that were known hustlers, drug dealers, basically men that were into questionable activity, and they would lure these men to locations where the men would think they were meeting up for escorting services, but instead they would be robbed. Mahogany was 20 years old, a mother to a 3-year-old, and part of a gang. She was living a fast life that was toxic, chaotic, and was not always the best environment for her daughter. And her mother, Gail Maddox, was at her wit's end, trying to get Mahogany to turn her life around. You see, Mahogany was like many other young girls who fall victim to the streets. The fast life, the money, the attention. Living the fast life is what Mahogany craved. And sadly, the more her mother tried to keep her from that life, the more Mahogany ran towards it. Gail Maddox had always tried to give her family the best life that she could. And even with her and Mahogany having a strained relationship, Gail still provided for her financially, even getting Mahogany an apartment of her own and furnishing it so that her daughter and grandchild could have a place to call home. And even though Mahogany didn't have much money to support her and her child, she always made sure her daughter was fed and taken care of. She was committed to raising her as best as she could. Now, as we all know, life in the fast lane has a way of catching up with you. And in recent months, Mahogany had felt the pull of the streets beginning to fade. She had recently began spending time with her extended family, getting to know her cousins, spending time with them. Now, I don't know if it was the recent family bonding or maybe it was the holiday cheer that the season brings. But whatever it was, in December of 2023, Mahogany texted her mother saying, "I'm 20 and I'm ready to get my life in order." And in the months that followed, Mahogany had begun pulling away from the gang, spending more and more time with her cousins. They had started helping her find a job so that she could become more secure and provide for her daughter. That is why when Mahogany was found dead, her family was devastated. In the early morning hours of February 26, 2024, she was found lifeless underneath of mattresses at an illegal dump site. Now, what was even more heartbreaking was that Mahogany had sent her family members text messages that she was being held hostage in apartment 3 at Serenity Apartments in Southwest Birmingham. She sent her location, but told them not to call her phone back, but to call the police. Now, the events that we are about to discuss may be disturbing for some, so I'm going to ask that if conversations discussing sexual assault, rape, or violence disturbs you, please remove yourself from this video and check out some of our other content. Gail Maddox says that she was on her way to pick up some family members from the airport when she received a disturbing text from Mahogany on February 25th at 7:46 a.m. Mahogany's messages indicated that she was in distress and being held against her will, and she urged her family to contact the police but told them not to call her phone. She also shared her location. Now, Gail, who at this time was caught in transit, picking up family from the airport, missed the initial notifications on her phone because these messages were actually sent around 4 a.m. that morning, not 7:46. Now, once Gail saw these messages, she began calling everybody, her kids, Mahogany's father, and police. They all rushed to the location that Mahogany had sent in the text, and a woman they encountered told the police that Mahogany had left at 2 a.m., contradicting the messages Mahogany sent, which had came through to Gail's phone at 7:46 a.m. Now, Gail knew that something was wrong because knowing Mahogany, she knew that her daughter would never say call the police, and she was not the type of person to call for help if she didn't need it. This was a clear sign to Gail that her daughter was afraid and in danger at the time that she sent that text to her family. Gail was not giving up, and even after being told by the police to go home because there wasn't much that she could do, Gail was defiant, saying to the officer, "Let me ask you this. If this were your child, would you go home? I'm not going home." Gail, her nieces, nephews, and Mahogany's father all searched for Mahogany in that apartment themselves, looking for their loved one. After searching and not being able to locate Mahogany, everyone left. Now, at this point, there was still hope. Mahogany was not at the location that she had texted, but no one was thinking that she was dead. On Sunday, February 26, police issued the missing persons alert for Mahogany and began investigating her disappearance, and the search continued. But as we all know, this case would not end happily, as Mahogany's body was found during the early hours on Monday, February 27th. She had been shot, and the circumstances surrounding her death were immediately flagged as suspicious. The Birmingham Police Department quickly launched an investigation to uncover the truth behind this gruesome act of violence.
Sound good, everyone? Right. Hello, everyone. I'm Officer Truman Fitzgerald of the Birmingham Police Department's Public Information Division. Joining me tonight for this press conference is BPD Police Chief Scott Thurman, along with Deputy Police Chief of the Detective Bureau, Sheila Finney, and members of our homicide team who work hard each and every day to bring justice like this case we're announcing tonight. Tonight you will hear from BPD Police Chief Scott Thurman about an update in the Mahogany Jackson homicide investigation. And at this time, Chief Scott Thurman.
So good evening. The Birmingham Police Department announces 7 arrests have been made in the Mahogany Jackson homicide investigation. On Sunday, February 25th, 2024, the Birmingham Police Department officers began investigating the missing persons case of 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson. Mahogany sent a text message to a family member that she had been kidnapped. Early the following day, officers and detectives discovered Mahogany's body in the 1700 block of Laurel Avenue. Investigators determined that she had been shot. With assistance from the community, detectives were not only able to locate Mahogany Jackson's body, but detectives took 7 suspects responsible for Mahogany's murder into custody within 48 hours of this investigation. On Wednesday, February 28, 2024, detectives were able to obtain arrest warrants for the following suspects. Giovanni Clapp, black female, 23 years of age. She is charged with felony murder, kidnapping first degree, sodomy first degree, and assault second with injury. Blair Green, black male, 25 years of age of Birmingham, is charged with felony murder, kidnapping first degree, and sodomy first degree. Tasia Lewis, black female, 25 years of age of Birmingham, is charged with felony murder, assault second, injury with a weapon. Francis Harris, black male, 25 years of age of Birmingham, Alabama, is charged with capital murder, sodomy first degree, capital murder, and kidnapping first. Sanaya McCall, black female, 23 years of age of Bessemer, Alabama, is charged with felony murder, kidnapping first, and sodomy first. Jeremiah McDowell, black male, 18 years of age of Bessemer, Alabama, is charged with capital murder, sodomy first, and capital murder with kidnapping first. Brandon Pope, black male, 24 years of age of Birmingham, Alabama, is charged with capital murder, kidnapping first, and capital murder with sodomy first. The facts of this case are deplorable and sickening. Saddest of all, they were made public by the suspect's decision to videotape portions of this horrific act. We hope to shield Mahogany's family and friends by withholding specific facts surrounding the investigation. However, we have determined that Mahogany was a victim of sexual assault with murder and kidnapping. Recently, Mayor Randall Woodfin and the Birmingham Police Department have urged the public assistance to help the Birmingham Police Department investigate violent acts such as these described in this case. In Birmingham, you answered the call. It's hurtful to know that 7 individuals could participate in such vile acts, but this case highlights the strengths and the effectiveness of the partnership between the Birmingham Police Department and our community, as 7 suspects are now behind the bars and will soon be in custody of the Jefferson County Jail with no bond. And I'll tell you, as many of you know, I served a number of years in the homicide unit, and this is undoubtedly one of the most heinous acts I've seen in my career. It's absolutely disgusting. And I'm very thankful to the men and women of the Birmingham Police Department who worked tirelessly for many days and very long hours to bring resolution to this particular case and get these individuals off the streets of Birmingham. And I also want to highlight the assistance of the citizens of Birmingham who came forward and gave us information that led to the arrest of these individuals. I can't thank them enough.
Chief, can you tell us how long Mahogany was held hostage and tortured, and do you have a possible motive?
I will say that all of these individuals were acquaintances, that they were not strangers to one another. As far as an exact time of how long she was held, I don't have that information.
And do you have a potential motive?
I would just say they're all acquaintances with one another.
I know on early Monday morning, you all went out there with the family to go look for her. What happened during that time? Were you all able to find her? Or clearly not at that moment, but what happened? How did you?
Well, Monday's when we found her body. Sunday's when we got the information about the fact that she had been kidnapped and began a search to try to locate her. It was in the early hours of Monday morning that we received information that led us to where her body was, so we were able to recover it and begin a homicide investigation at that point.
So in no way you all made it to the apartment complex that was in question?
We had been to that apartment complex on Sunday. Yes.
So what happened there? Did you make contact with any of the
We did
suspects
make
at
contact
the
with
time?
someone. We did question some individuals.
What came of that conversation?
One of those individuals is charged.
Did they admit to that?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of the case because that would hurt the criminal case, but it was all pieces of the puzzle, I guess, if you could say.
And how do situations like these work with her texting her family members saying she was being hostage or asking them to send the police? And you go to this apartment, can you just go in? Is that probable cause? Like, how does that work?
So we have to look at the totality of circumstances. Each case is different, has a different set of facts. We have to look at what we've got, and then there's different ways, whether we need to obtain a search warrant, we can gain consent, or as you kind of alluded to, if the facts are just egregious enough, then we could go in and make sure no one's in danger.
So of the 7 people, have most of them been compliant and talking to detectives who have been working on this case?
There again, that's something that will need to come out in court. That's part of the criminal case.
Chief, how exactly did the public assist in identifying these suspects, and are you confident that these are all of the suspects involved?
I am very confident that this is all the suspects. Just them giving us some of the information that they had seen, that they've been made aware of, giving that information to our detectives so they could follow up from there, which led us to the culmination of these individuals being in jail today.
Now, Chief, I know you said you can't tell us the motive right now, but I saw, is it true, can you confirm, has there been like a video going around of a fight prior to the murder that occurred?
Well, I won't necessarily say there was a fight. There's videos of some of these heinous acts taking place, and that's something that was a pivotal piece of the investigation. So I'll just leave it at that.
Chief, how big of a role would you say those text messages and her contacting her family, how big of a role did that play?
Well, I think that was a very big role because that kind of got the police involved. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been involved prior to that time had that information not gotten out to someone so they could alert us, we could begin an investigation. The investigation initially began as a missing persons case. Our investigators spent all day out, most of that night, trying to locate her, following up on leads to see where she could be and things of that nature. And then, unfortunately, a few hours later, we received information of where her body was. We went to that location and did indeed find her body.
Chief, I just want to clarify something from earlier. Did the victims all the suspects all knew each other? Did they also know the victim?
Yes. Okay. Everyone involved in the case, victim suspects, were all acquainted with one another.
Can you say if the person that led you to Mahogany's body is one of the suspects?
They're not.
And do we know where Mahogany was shot? Was it at the apartment complex? Or?
There again, that's some of the facts that the detectives they'll be presenting in court.
How much longer do you think it'll take to kind of sort of wrap this case up before you get to court? Are there more things that you're gathering?
There's constantly always things that are ongoing in a case. There's a lot of other leads and things to follow up on. Testing of evidence, getting things back from search warrants, things of that nature. So there's always, just because an arrest is made, there's still a lot of things that need to be done before we get to court to make sure that every stone is unturned, everything is checked into and evaluated.
Do you all think that these are the only people that were involved, all 7?
Yes.
How many other locations was she taken to other than that first apartment?
There were some others. There again, that's something that's kind of critical to the case that, only the people involved would know some of that information. So sharing that with the public could potentially hurt the criminal case in the future.
Can you say if she was killed at the location she was found or killed somewhere else?
I don't have that information.
Is there anything you want to say to the community? I know we had for several weeks, days, have been talking about homicides happening. And in 48 hours, people came forward, which is not common in some of the cases that you all are dealing with. Is there anything that you want to say to those folks who came out and helped the detective cases?
I would just like to drive home to our citizens that this is the outcomes that we can have when we all work together. We can get these people off the street very quickly to ensure the safety of everyone in Birmingham when we all work together and information is shared. And so these men and women who work in the Birmingham Police Department work very hard. They haven't hardly been home working on this case and some of the other cases, but this is what can happen when we all work together and we share information. They won't stop as long as there's things to work on in this. As long as the public shares that information, we'll continue to follow up on it.
Thank you, everyone.
So what happened? What are the events that led up to Mahogany Jackson being murdered by her friends? Now, there are many different theories floating around on the internet, but the one that seems to be the most accurate comes from the interview that Brandon Pope did with a detective by the name of Detective Green. Now, during this interview, Brandon Pope details that Mahogany Jackson had come to his apartment upset and accusing him of stealing a gun and money from her purse. Now, during this confrontation, allegedly Mahogany made Brandon strip down naked to prove that he did not have the gun and money on his person. Now, I gotta warn you, the next part of this video is very disturbing. I cannot believe how so-called friends, let alone human beings, could do this to another person. Now, what makes this case so unbelievable is that the assault on Mahogany was recorded and shared via social media. During the investigation, while police were at the site where Mahogany's body was found, a witness came to the police station claiming to have information on the case. Because the victim felt like he was being accused on Facebook as being part of Mahogany's disappearance, he had come forward with evidence and information detailing the murder of Mahogany. He turned over 5 videos, about 5 minutes in length, each showing the physical and sexual assaults that had been inflicted on Mahogany. The details were graphic, and in some of the assaults, Mahogany endured kicking, hitting, spitting, and being dragged. In one of the videos, it showed part of the assault happening at Brandon Pope's apartment, and then the other 4 assaults were taken at the apartment where police and Mahogany's family had first went looking for her, which belonged to the other suspect, Tasia Lewis. Now, surprisingly, this witness that turned over these videos was a friend of Tasia Lewis, described as being like a brother to her. He said Tasia had called him the morning that police and Mahogany's family had shown up to her apartment looking for Mahogany. He then went over to Tasia's apartment, where he and her then went to Brandon Pope's house. It was at Brandon's house that the witness said he also talked to another suspect, Francis Harris. Harris detailed the assault and said that he shot Mahogany. The 3 then drove to the location where Mahogany's body was located, and this witness was then shown Mahogany's body. The witness made sure to stress to the police that he was not present for Mahogany's murder or any of these events. He was merely told about it by these 3 suspects who had just tortured and murdered someone, recorded it, shared it to social media, but he was not there for any of that. He only came forward to the police because of Facebook. We will go over this later in more detail. Now, Mahogany arrived at Brandon's home Saturday night with several of the suspects, and we know that she knew all of these people. She was not amongst not one stranger. Mahogany was upset because she still did not know who had stolen money and a gun from her purse, and allegedly this gun was actually a gun that she previously had stolen from someone else. This is when allegedly Mahogany took a gun from another one of the suspects named Kodak and forced Brandon to strip at gunpoint to prove he didn't have the stolen gun, which he did not. Now, this is where I believe the trap was set. Brandon being made to strip down naked in front of the gang, I'm pretty sure he was very embarrassed and humiliated. So as the night went on, he became more and more enraged inside. And it seems that there was some drinking and substance abuse going on, which made it the perfect storm for this murder to occur. Mahogany had no idea that her fate had already been sealed. The revenge was brewing. I can imagine that Brandon would have been talking with the other suspects there and getting everyone riled up, sneakily whispering to them things about Mahogany, getting everyone to turn on her. Now, it hasn't been determined how much time passed between the incident between Mahogany and Brandon and when the assaults began on Mahogany. But in one of the videos, Brandon can be heard saying, "Kill her," or "Do something to that bitch. She made me strip." Now, Mahogany is then taken outside of Brandon's house, where she is stomped and spat on by Tasia Lewis and another suspect named Sanaya McCall. During this point in the attack, Mahogany was on the ground, and at one point, Tasia straddled Mahogany while punching her in the head. The video shows Mahogany saying to her attackers that they had won and to just let her go. Throughout the assault at Brandon's house, Mahogany was stripped, kicked, punched, spat on, and dragged by her hair to a vehicle. Now, at that point in the video, Sanaya McCall can be seen yelling for someone to pop the trunk. This is when Mahogany was transported to Serenity Apartments, where Tasia Lewis and Sanaya McCall lived. Now, 4 more videos are recorded from this location, and this is where the events really took a sick and twisted turn for the worse. Mahogany was then shown on video being forced to perform oral sex on another suspect, Blair Green, while Tasia and Sanaya held her at gunpoint, forcing her to perform the sex act. This entire assault took place in Sanaya's bedroom. Tasia held the back of Mahogany's head while Sanaya held the gun and recorded the attack. Mahogany is then told to hurry up because she had another one to perform oral sex on. Now, it is not shown who, but one of the suspects then pulls Mahogany's pants down so that Kodak McDowell could rape her. Kodak would later tell the police that he did have sex with Mahogany, but it was consensual. During this assault, another suspect by the name of Giovanni Clapp can be heard in the background telling Mahogany that she better do it right when performing the oral sex act. In another video, Mahogany is shown in handcuffs being forced into the bathroom at gunpoint and told to clean herself up. Mahogany was so frightened by what was happening to her that in one of the videos, she can be seen defecating on herself as she is forced to shower. Now, after inflicting all of this pain and torture, everyone prepared to leave the apartment. Sanaya and Tasia then say that Mahogany was not leaving the apartment. It is speculated that after being made to give over the code to her phone, the suspects discovered that Mahogany had texted her family members telling them that she was being held hostage, and they suspect that Ace Harris allegedly decided to kill Mahogany. The group then split up, and Mahogany was driven in Ace's car by Brandon, Kodak, and Ace to an illegal trash dumping site known as Dead Man's Road. Now, while allegedly pretending to be cleaning out the trunk of the car, Ace Harris is said to have walked up behind Mahogany and shot her in the back of the head.
Circuit Court judge has denied bond for 5 of the suspects charged in the murder of Mahogany Jackson.
That ruling comes days after police arrested an 8th suspect. That was Friday. CBS 42's Courtney Chandler joins us live in downtown Birmingham after attending this morning's hearing. Courtney, no bond here.
Yes, sure. This is after the judge heard disturbing video from the Birmingham Police Department involving that case, and that's why 5 of the suspects that she saw before her today will receive no bond. Giovanni Clamp, Blair Green, Tasha Lewis, Sila McCall, and Ariana Robinson will remain behind bars without bond. Birmingham police have identified these 5 and 3 other suspects for the murder of 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson. Birmingham Police Detective Mark Green, who is the lead detective for the case, took the stand Monday, sharing evidence of what led to Jackson's death. According to Green, the suspects assaulted Jackson physically and sexually based on the evidence seen from videos presented in the investigation. Green says Jackson was at one point handcuffed, dragged by her hair, beaten, and spit on by suspects. Green told prosecutors that Jackson sent out a text to family saying she had been kidnapped and please help, but don't call. He says Jackson was later shot in the back of the head and left at a trash dump site on the 1700 block of Laurel Avenue in southwest Birmingham. Jackson's family did not speak to the media Monday, but Jefferson County DA Danny Carr tells me the family is shaken after hearing the details of Mahogany's death.
It's one thing to hear a lot of what we call chitter-chatter out there, but to be in a formal setting and hear what happened to a loved one like that could be very disheartening, obviously.
Carr tells me next will be a preliminary hearing for the suspects
in district court to determine probable cause and to see if the cases should move forward to a grand jury proceeding.
Now, the 3 other suspects, Brandon Pope, Francis Harris, and Jeremiah McDowell, are charged with capital murder during a first-degree kidnapping and capital murder during first-degree sodomy. In downtown Birmingham, Courtney Chandler, CBS 42 News.
Courtney. Family, friends, and the community coming together tonight to honor and remember Mahogany Jackson, a 20-year-old who was found shot dead early Monday morning, just a day after she was reported missing. Police say she was kidnapped, murdered, and sexually assaulted. A candlelight vigil was held for her tonight. 7 people have been arrested and charged in her death.
We're just really taking it day by day. For me, I'm more at peace a little bit because they got everybody like within 24 hours.
And tonight, city leaders are asking the public to help a family who is already going through the unimaginable right now.
Taylor Pollock joins us. And Taylor, what are they saying tonight?
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Brittany, the story is very hard to listen to, and it's impacted not only Jackson's family and friends, but even total strangers who were shaken by this shocking crime gathered today to honor her life and legacy after police say she was held against her will and tortured before she was killed. BPD have arrested 7 in connection with her death and have said some of these people recorded some of that attack on Jackson. We're hearing reports now that video is circulating online. That video was described yesterday by law enforcement as heinous and disgusting. Tonight, Jefferson County's district attorney is pleading with the public that if you come across that video, to not share it out of respect to the family.
She has to live with this forever. And there's some aspects of this situation I know that's devastating to that family. But then to see it reenacted on a video, it almost places you there. And then to see people continue to share it over and over. And I know some people may be sharing it for entertainment value or whatever, which is sad in and of itself. But at the end of the day, have some respect for them as well. Have some respect for the family. Have some respect for Mahogany.
And police have said they're confident that they have all of the suspects in this case.
So there you have it, you guys. This is probably one of the worst cases that I have covered so far on this channel. Not only was it barbaric, it was brutal, it was sadistic, and I cannot believe people that called themselves a friend had actually done this to someone that was once their friend. I mean, I know that they were arguing. I get it. They were calling her, that she was a traitor, that, she was setting people up. Whatever it was, it still was sadistic. It still was brutal. And I'm just having a hard time really wrapping my mind around this witness. Now, remember I said I was going to go back to the witness. Now, the witness shows up to the police. He's turning himself in with these videos. And he wants the police to know that Mahogany was dumped at this dump site, and he was not there. He was not there. He didn't have anything to do with it. He was only led there after his friend Tasia calls him up, tells him that the police and Mahogany's family had been at her apartment. Okay, he then goes over to Tasia's apartment, and then he is then told about all of this that they've done to Mahogany. He's shown videos, and then he's actually taken to the location where Mahogany's body has been dumped. Now, I'm having problems with this, okay? I can't believe that 3 suspects in a murder would take someone where they've dumped a body, okay? They've told him about this, but they actually took him to the site. In my mind, I'm thinking that this person probably was there, that they were involved in this murder as well. So you guys drop in the comments and let me know what you think about that. Do you think that they were involved in the murder, or do you think that they really did just tell him about it? My heart goes out to Mahogany's daughter, the 3-year-old daughter that she left behind. I'm pretty sure that she is, having a hard time dealing with the fact that her mother is no longer here. So you guys, make sure you send some prayers, some well wishes out to Mahogany Jackson's family, her loved ones, her daughter, because they are victims as well. So you guys, this has been another video. Please drop in the comments and let me know what you think about this case, what you think, what are your thoughts. I mean, this is one of the worst cases I've covered. Like I said, I can't believe that this is happening in our society. We are in 2024, and I mean, these things are occurring like never before. People are taking their friends out. People are taking their loved ones out, and we have to pray for our world. We got to pray for healing. We are so insensitive, to people losing their lives. People can lose their life in an instant, and we just move on to the next thing. So you guys, drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about this video. Also, let me know if you want to see other content like this, or if you have a story, please email me at teachyouhowtotube@gmail.com. As always, be sure to like this video, share this video, but most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.